Hey folks, welcome to Black Gumbo Southern Gardening. Let's prune some peppers. I have been asked so many questions about pepper pruning and pinching and topping, whatever you want to call it. Ever since I did my first video, I've got constant feedback and questions. One of the very first actual informative comments I got was a guy telling me that I'm not pruning peppers, I'm pinching them, and I'm dealing with apical dominance. Yeah, that's true. That's true. Some people took offense at the word pruning. I'm like, guys, it's gardening. I'm pinching my peppers, I'm pruning my peppers, I'm cutting my peppers, I'm topping my peppers, whatever. It increases the number of peppers you get because it increases the bushing fruiting branches. What it does is when you take the top of a single stem pepper, okay, so you plant a pepper seedling, it comes up and it has a growth habit that's a single stem. When you cut the top of that single stem off, you're taking away the apical dominance. Apical dominance means, like the apex of the growing vine is dominant over all the other branching elements of the plant. And because it's dominant, all the auxins and the growth hormones go to that that top portion of your plant, and it just keeps growing straight up. It doesn't bush out a lot. And it'll fruit, it'll give you some fruit, and if you have a long enough growing season, it'll grow side branches eventually. But if you want to speed that up and get a bigger harvest quicker, then lop the top of your pepper plant off. Leave 4 at a minimum, I like 6 or 8 leaves on the main growing stem. And you might still be left with a leggy pepper, but you're going to get more bushing and branching off of it. So yeah, let me show you this. I've got 2 jalapeno peppers growing in here, 2 of them, and they're very tall and leggy. You can see how they're just basically one dominant stalk. This one even has buds on it. When a pepper grows tall and leggy like this, it's going to put on a few flowering buds up at the top, but it's not really going to put on a ton of fruit. You can prune the pepper to increase your bushiness of your plant, and that increases the amount of flowers and fruit that it's going to put on. And so what I'm going to do on these pepper plants is just give, let's see, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and I'm going to give 6 nodes, and I'm going to cut. That looks extreme. This one here has 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. I need to cut that at 5. Right there. And now the plant doesn't have apical dominance. That growth bud has been cut off. Now all these little side shoots right in here are going to bush out. And in a couple of weeks we'll start to see these growing new growth branches. And those will be whole new fruiting branches, and you'll get more peppers. This works best with small peppers. Jalapeno peppers it works well with. You won't get the gigantic stuffing size, but you'll get more peppers, and that's what I'm after. If you have a plant though that doesn't have the apical dominance issue of some peppers, like this guy right here, this one, if you can see, it bushes out naturally. It's got a lot of growth coming from the side, lots of side branching coming out there. This pepper doesn't need to be pruned. I wouldn't pinch this pepper at all. I'll just let it grow, and this pepper will give me plenty of fruit. But a pepper like this, you really don't need to mess with. You don't need to top it. So yeah, but a pepper like these guys are already putting on some blossoms, and eventually it'll start budding out and growing side branches if I let it. If I have a long growing season, eventually it will. But when your plant is tall like this and leggy, it's susceptible to wind and flopping over, and once this fruit gets on here, it's going to be real heavy. You're going to have to stake it. I just think it's more healthy to grow a more bushy plant. And so once again, I'm going to count 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and I'm going to top it. That's not a good leaf right there. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. I'm going to just top it at 5 because, yeah. Now what these plants are going to do, once again, they're going to start pushing out new growth from these crotches right here. Let me show you some others I'm going to do. So here I have this tall and leggy plant. This is a jalapeno. You can see that it's already pushing out some blossoms here. And I'm going to top this plant just like that. I'm going to bury it a little bit deeper. I'm going to actually plant it in my garden bed. And this is the one I'll come back and show you that it bushes out in a couple of weeks. This is actually called a jalapeño. Nada, Spanish for nothing, and it has no heat. There we go. And we'll come back and that sad little thing's gonna actually be bushy. All right, so here's my pepper that I topped, and it's only been 3 days, but you can see here how right in the little crotch, I guess, you can see those buds now. They're starting to put on some leafiness. Yeah, these are gonna bush out. This is 11 days later, and you can see that all that new growth is finally putting on some true leaves there and doing the plant some good. So I'll have some branches come out down here, and at each node we will have new branches come out because we've broken that apical dominance of the main stem here, and now all that growth hormone can go to other resources like these guys right here. With regard to peppers, I found they do better in the ground. I've grown peppers for 20 years now, and if I plant them in containers, they give me peppers, they fruit. Especially the smaller varieties, jalapeños, cayenne peppers, Tabasco peppers, they'll produce for you in a container, but if you stick them in the ground and you top them like we're doing today, they will bush out and they'll grow to 4 or 5 feet tall, and they will give you all kinds of peppers. One year, 2014, I think, my very first year of my raised beds here that you see in my videos, I had 2 Tabasco plants, and those peppers put on so many peppers for me. Those plants were so heavily laden with peppers that they weighed down under their own weight. And I was able to make all kinds of hot sauce and Tabasco sauce, and not only did they produce heavily, they produced all through the winter for me. So I was getting peppers in January. It was crazy. And those are peppers that I topped, and they bushed out for me. Peppers in containers generally don't do as well for me unless they're small peppers. The biggest pepper I'll put in a container now, having done so and learned over the years, is maybe a jalapeno. I have some Fresno peppers in containers now, and I expect 3 or 4 peppers per plant. Not a good return on my effort, right? You put them in the ground though, and those roots will go out and forage for resources, and they'll do a whole lot better for you. And my bell peppers in the ground last year gave me dozens and dozens and dozens of peppers. I mean, I had so many peppers, the rats were finding them and eating them at night, and I still had plenty of peppers. So yeah, in-ground peppers perform better for me, and that's how it is with basically any fruit. All right, I'm going to harvest a few of these. These are mature. The rest I'm going to let them go red. An example of an in-ground plant that I did top. You can see I topped it right there where those branches start coming out, and now it's a little bit bushier, and I've got more fruiting branches, and you can see the fruit is not unnaturally sized. That's about right for a jalapeno, unless you get the, you grow the jumbo kind. But yeah, so that's a nice bushy plant there. So here's a pepper plant that I did not top. It's actually a jalapeno pepper, and it's growing quite nicely and bushy all on its own, and it's got a lot of fruit on here already. I do have a stake in here just kind of loosely holding it up, but some peppers tend to be this way. They branch out on their own. Some peppers don't. So this is one that I would not necessarily have topped. I didn't top, and it's doing just fine. Yeah, you don't have to pinch your pepper plant. You don't have to break that apical dominance, because notice on these 2 plants, once they get to a certain point, they naturally branch out, and it's usually where they start putting on fruit. And they'll branch out, but they're going to be so tall and leggy that I would rather take peppers like this and pinch them and keep them a little more stout. Do you like peppers? Jalapenos? Yeah, I like growing those jalapenos. May have tricked you there. That is a heatless jalapeno. Has that jalapeno flavor. Real nice pepper. I recommend them if you want to have a stuffing pepper, but you're not into heat. You get that real nice flavor. I'm going to let some turn red on the bush and see if I can't make some chipotle out of them. Chipotle is a roasted red jalapeno. but they'll be heatless chipotle, and so that'll be kind of interesting. Jalapeño, I don't remember where I got it. I think Baker Creek may have had it, but Google it and find that seed and grow that next spring. It's a really interesting one. There's also a habanada, which is a habanero pepper that has no heat, and that should be real flavorful. Habaneros have that fruitiness about them. So yeah, good pepper. Just wanted to mention that. If you haven't subscribed already, please do. We put out a lot of gardening content. I try to do 2 or 3 videos a week in the growing season. And yeah, so we're grateful for you. Like us on Facebook, Instagram, and we'll talk to you next time. Happy gardening. Bye-bye.